Dunamis woman, releasing all miracles for the kingdom within me, breaking through barriers. Success is what I see, understanding my destiny and the power I possess, exposing, empowering my greatness in the eyes. Dunamis woman, taking authority. Dunamis woman, over principalities. Dunamis woman, I am strong. Dunamis woman.
Welcome to Dunamis Woman and Ram. Today I am Dee Collins, affectionately known to some as Pastor D, and I just want to welcome you here to the show. This is an awesome show that we have this platform not only to educate and to empower, but to expose you to great people. I am reminded of 1 Kings, the 3rd chapter, when Solomon is saying, God, give me wisdom and understanding because these are your great people. Well, that is my heart's cry today because I am here to expose you to a great dunamis woman that is on this show, and I'm just honored to be with her because not only is she Miss Windy City of 2013, but God has blessed her to come out of my womb and to be called my daughter. Ariel Fuller, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for introducing me.
Oh, that was a good introduction,
It was
wasn't it?
a great introduction.
I know. You didn't think I had it in me, did you?
No, you did. I'm amazing. So.
Well, you are Miss Windy City 2013 of the Miss America organization, and we just honored to have you here because, first of all, I just deem you as a role model in our society for so many women, young women, like unto yourself, who are striving to reach their goals and to do things. So what an honor to actually just interview you on the show and see how this thing came about. How did you become Miss Windy City 2013? Why pageant? Why all this competition? Why are you taking me through all this stress at this time of my life? Just tell me why.
Well, people ask that question all the time, actually, while I'm out and about. And really, you know, I always tell them I don't know why or how. I was in college at the University of Illinois in Urbana-Champaign, and I got introduced to a pageant while on campus, and I thought that it was just a way to introduce myself. You know, University of Illinois is huge. It's a lot of people, and so it's how do you stand out in front of everyone else? And so that was a way for me to walk on stage and introduce myself to everyone who wanted to know me. And so that's what I did, and I didn't win. I ended up winning runner-up, and so with that runner-up title, I took my initiative to coach other girls for the remainder of the years and coordinated the show. I went to coordinate the District of Illinois and then the regionals for the fraternity. And so through coaching them, I realized how pageantry really was not about winning, but it's really the journey that you get through the process. And so a lot of times people focus on winning that title and do anything, positive or negative things to win that title and forget that the process they have to have throughout. And so that's how it became a passion of mine. And when I got home, I decided to compete for Miss Black Illinois and Miss Black USA system,
Right.
and I won runner-up for that. And so, as you know, being my mother, I was a little bit disappointed, not knowing the turnout, but I knew only one person was going to win. And so I chucked up, took the process, you know, and decided to go for Miss Windy City.
Correct.
And I did, and I still remember being on stage and really thinking, okay, runner-up. You're going to get runner-up. But thankfully for that local title, because you have to have a local to compete for Miss Illinois, and so that's what I will be competing for coming June 29th. But for that specific local, they gave away 2 titles. So they gave away a title for Miss Chicago and then Miss Windy City.
Correct.
And so it's funny how I look at myself now that even if I was runner-up, we don't know who was runner-up. They gave away 2 titles and said, hey, you both go compete for Miss Illinois. And so I don't know if I was runner-up or not, but I'm still able to have that chance to go compete for Miss Illinois. And so it's just been a journey having this title. It's been good. And that's kind of how the whole process has been, you know. So I'm seeing what Miss Illinois will bring me.
Well, you know, I keep hearing you use the term two terms that's standing out for me: journey and process.
Yes.
Now actually, that Dunamis Woman, the whole enterprise, the whole thing about Dunamis Woman is about empowerment. And with empowerment, we fail to realize, because that's such a fluent term that people are using, I'm empowering. But we have a tendency to dismiss the fact that we have to go through a journey and we have to go through a process.
Yes.
With that will be some setbacks, what we think, and some will be some accomplishments. You have now formulated Dunamis Woman Empowerment Organization because it's a different aspect for young people. Now, for me, you taking this and we're running with it as a team, I'm empowering women who have had children like unto myself, have went through various phases of life, but we still are on this journey.
Yes.
And we still have to go through this process, particularly as believers, as Christians. We don't want to embrace that process.
No.
We just want what we want now. God, I want it, I prayed it, here it is. And God takes us through that process. For you, being a vibrant, 23, 24, I don't forget how old you are, because every time I count, it makes me look older. So your age bracket, this generation is coming up, you all want instant. You want instant gratification with the microwave system, all the instant fast foods. You all think instant.
Yes.
Tell me about the process that you have to now discover and have discovered, because you just thought you was going to be this automatically. Yeah,
and it's huge, because a lot of times, like you said, in this generation, a lot of people want things instant and right away. And, I've never, I don't know if I've been someone, but the way I've looked at myself, I've never been someone who really wants it right away and just looks at that final go. I mean, I do encourage other people around me. I talk to other people. I make friends, because within the pageant system, it's only one person that's going to win. And so that one person, it necessarily isn't going to be you. Of course you may want it to be you, but even as we relate that back to the real world, not everyone is going to win. Not everyone is going to be the valedictorian of their school. Not everyone is going to be the most popular girl within high school or the most popular guy. And so you have to take that environment and get what you get out of it. And that is, your process. What have you learned? How have you developed? How have you grown? And so when I talk to other people, I realize what comes out of my mouth is experiences from my past. And so that's what makes me say, okay, I went through a process for a reason.
Correct.
And so if everything was instant, and if I received every accomplishment right away, I would not have been able to talk about my hurts or my disappointments or my struggles, because everything just came easy for me.
That you suppressed.
Yes.
That you really didn't realize that it was for a purpose.
Yes. And I really didn't realize it for a purpose, that it was for a purpose, because now that, as you mentioned, me having the organization, Dunamis Women Empowerment Organization, I did start that on campus. And a lot of girls my age couldn't relate, because it was a peer talking to a peer.
Correct.
And so, obviously, mentally, I am a lot stronger than my age, or mentally I'm older than my age, but they couldn't hear me at all. It was almost like, you're in the same environment as me, so what do you know? What's different? And so now that I've gotten home and I took the organization and put it for girls in high school, they seem to understand the process a little bit more. They seem to take the advice a little bit more. And not only that, I'm able to be comfortable with them more. And I realize, me being able to relate to them, know the terms that they use and the things that they're going through. If I didn't go throughout my process throughout college, I would not have been able to tell them certain things. Correct. So, I really had to realize after the math what that process meant. Correct. And not while I was in it, I didn't realize what it meant, but afterwards I did.
I see you you're going into the schools where there's basically struggles that the young ladies are dealing with internally. The school is not really designed to deal with those internal struggles, because naturally it's an academic setting. With the leaders or the principals or the powers that may be permitting you to come in and to contribute to this organization, you're able to deal with some of their struggles and help them to see from a whole totally different perspective. What is one of the primary things that you see that the young women are struggling with? I think I know what it is, but I want you to see if what's in my head is actually what it is. And I'm thinking of one word.
I don't know. But I mean,
But what do you see?
Really, it's a lot of different struggles, you know, really their identity and really discovering who they are. But I think one thing that I do is I always tell principals and superintendents, let me stand in the gap for what you aren't going to be able to receive, because you're a parent or you're a teacher, and so they're looking at you in that aspect. And social workers, you're a social worker, and yes, you went to school, you had, you know, your degree, but that doesn't make a girl or a guy open up to you.
Right.
And so just because you have that degree does not mean that they're going to reveal to you certain things of their life, and it's really honestly a gift that you have to touch these people. I always relate it back to when I used to nanny in daycare. A baby is going to let you know if they want to be in your arms.
Correct.
And if they don't, you'll know. And so you can't take that personal, because everyone feels, because I'm an adult and I'm a nurturer, that I am able to grab every baby. And a baby is going to say, I don't want you touching me. I don't want you around me. And so it's the same thing like a student or a child. And the fact that just because you have a degree does not mean that they feel comfortable with you.
Or you're fulfilling a position.
Yes, or you're fulfilling a position. And so I'm able, you know, and it's just a gift that I'm able to relate to them. And so when I do, I find that a lot of struggles that they're dealing with is really their own identity. They don't know who they are when it comes to maybe their position in the home, or maybe they're in a relationship with their boyfriend and it's all about sex and not about who they are as a woman.
Which they're not going to talk to most officials at
No,
the school about.
They're not going to talk to them about that. And then the struggles of dealing with parents, and, you know, it's so much, you know, a lot of them really, it all goes back to identity, you know, whether you're dealing with your sexual identity, whether you're dealing with who I am and what career do I want to have, whether you're dealing with, you know, your identity in the home, or maybe some people have been raped or molested, or some girls probably...
Or rejected.
Yeah, rejected. I mean, there's a lot of different things. Yeah. So, yeah, it's a huge thing of what they're dealing with. It's a whole realm, but everyone has their own personal story.
And I have seen the outcomes, you know, that have taken place with you, because you build the rapport, you build the relations. Even some of the young ladies have come out, you know, to our empowerment clinic, you know, that I facilitate, you know, and you brought them there so they can start getting what you're getting and what a whole host of women are getting, you know. So, you know, you just can't be in one place, you know. But I heard you use the word, you know, we're going to take a break real shortly, but I heard you use the word, you intercessor, you interceded, you know. And oftentimes we just look at an intercessor from a Christian perspective being just prayer. You know, we have to know in this day and hour that God uses various strategies, and he will use what you have to intercede. And that's what an intercessor is. It's a repairer of the breach. You know, you've come in and you've repaired some gaps that the principal might not, or the pastor might not, or the youth pastor, or the mother, or this. You know, we need that generational gap, you know, and that's what you do. And I see God using this title, you know, to give you more leverage. And that's what it is. And so many people can't let titles, you know, go to their head, you know. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back and we're going to talk Miss Windy City of 2013 about your platform and what you're standing for as it relates to not only just women, but young women. We'll be right back. This is Dee Collins, Dunamis Woman, and stay tuned.
What is HPV? Human papilloma?
Human papilloma?
Human papillomavirus is HPV. Did you know HPV is the leading cause of cervical cancer in most women? 75% of women and men will contract HPV through sexual intercourse at one point in their lifetime. Infected? There are many ways you can lower your risk in prevention of cervical cancer. One, you can build your immune system, or reduce the amount of smoking. Protected? Are you under the age of 26? Take that step. Get vaccinated. Oh wait, you're a virgin? There's no excuse. Declare prevention now. HPV doesn't carry a name. It has no respective age or no preferred gender. Cervical cancer is the second most common cancer in women. Have you been tested? Married? Single? Divorced? Sex from time to time? Or abstinent? Go get a pap smear. Women, we need our regular pap smear. Our body is our temple. Take pride in a pap. We can be one less. You are one less. You're not alone or exempt. Cervical cancer is not the answer. Pap smears are needed. But most importantly, your life is worth it.
welcome you back to Dunamis Women in Ram today, and I hope that that actual segment and that commercial spot gave you some insight of where we are going, because naturally we do need to take pride in getting our PAPs. And Ariel, that was you, and you really standing forward. Women, young women, taking pride in getting their PAPs. To me, it's kind of ludicrous, because, I was raised, and I've always gotten a pap smear, I've even empowered you, go get your PAPs, Tell me about the barriers that you're discovering as you're out here in these platforms, talking to not only women, but young women. Why is it such a need to educate and for us to take pride in that?
Yeah, I tell people all the time, really me talking about HPV and cervical cancer awareness, I talk about the awareness of the HPV, the human papilloma virus, but I really encourage young women to take ownership in receiving a pap smear. And it's not really in regards to, you want every woman to be healthy, but at the same time, when young girls are out there and they're making decisions to, engage in premarital sex, that is a decision that you're making as a woman, not a little girl, but it's a decision you're making as a woman. And so in doing so, you have to also make other decisions. When you make one decision, there's others that need to come. And so I hear I heard a lot of my peers and just girls that I interact with, in high schools, and they say, well, a pap smear hurts, or, I'm scared, or I don't have enough insurance, and things like that. So they go receive free testing for sexually transmitted infections, but they don't receive the services to get a pap smear. And so it kind of is a controversy, because you say it hurts, but then you experience losing your virginity. And that hurts. And that hurts. And so that's just when it comes to girls who have engaged in premarital sex. But then I also tell girls who are virgins and who are waiting till they're married, this is a way of life. It's not something that, I'm not sexually active, so I don't have to be aware about a pap smear. Once you do get married and you have sex with your husband, and you share that special moment, now you have embarked upon a whole new journey of your life. And so you have to be educated about receiving the pap smear, because just because you're married does not dismiss human papilloma virus from entering your body. And so I talk to even girls who are virgins and then married women. Just because you're married and you've been with your spouse for 10 or 15 years does not dismiss it. You have to miss your pap smear every year. And so sometimes women who are married say, well, I forgot about it last year, or I know what my husband is doing, so I'm going to keep pushing it back. And this is something that you have to respect your body as a woman. No one else can respect us no more than what we respect ourselves. And so you have to take that ownership to go receive a pap smear. And so that's really just what I encourage people to do, to create it as a way of life. And just like you said, for me, you sat down with me, you taught me, okay, well, this is a female's body, and this is female anatomy, and reading the books and knowing the parts of, your body. And so that's something that you need to know, because you expect someone, it's like you go out into the world, you expect a man to sit down with you, to nurture you, to respect you, and you don't even know who you are. Honestly, you're not just emotionally and, but physically, you don't know who you are. You don't even know the parts of your own body.
And then oftentimes we have, even women, all ages. And I think that I know that what I am and what I have is only what I can impart into you, as a daughter. What a mother has and understanding herself as a woman is only what she can impart into her daughter. Rather, it's knowledge, information, and being free. The main thing is being free to be me. And I discover so many mothers don't even know who they are as a woman, you know. But from a sexual connotation, we lose ourselves because we don't even see the necessity of what we need, that we're so busy pleasing, a man. And that's so prevalent in young girls today. They're so busy just having sexual intercourse to please their boyfriend, to please their guy, their self-esteem is so impaired. And when you go through those things, certain things you just don't think about. Then we go from one guy to the next because we're looking for love. We're looking to be pleased, and before you know it, you can have something in your body that you don't even recognize. And too many of us as women of all ages are acting reactively instead of proactively. The stats for HPV. What have you discovered?
Well, at least 80% of women and men will come into contact with HPV at once in their lifetime. Mm-hmm. And so they encourage at the age of 11 to receive the HPV vaccine. Mm-hmm. But a lot
11?
They would like for you to receive it before you decide to engage in sexual activity. So you're already protected, because after you engage in sexual activity, you already put yourself at risk. Okay. Because 80% is a lot. You know, that's a huge stat. So even a person that you may marry down the line could have already came in contact with the HPV virus. And so that's why they encourage people before you even engage in sexual activity to have that vaccine to protect you. But at the same time, I know when I received the vaccine a couple years ago, it was expensive. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of times you have families who have low socioeconomical status, yes, who don't have the finances to go be proactive and go get a vaccine. And not only that, I mean, girls, you have so many different taboos, because sometimes a girl may say, well, I don't want my parent to think that I'm going to have sex, because mm-hmm. then you have parents who think, well, if my daughter gets this, is this going to encourage her to go out there and go have sex? And so a lot of times people, the topic, it's so broad. Yeah. And there's so many things that you can get from discussing the topic, but my thing is it has to be talked about. It has to be talked about. And so, people may say, well, are you encouraging them or you're not? Look, if it's not discussed, if it's not brought out to attention, mm-hmm. You only are held accountable for what you know. Correct. And so at least you have given them the right tools and the right avenues for them to go be proactive when they, if they do decide to make that decision to engage in sex, mm-hmm. at least they have all the knowledge that they possibly can have, mm-hmm. instead of holding them back. And then you have girls, as you said, who have boyfriends and they switch from boyfriend to boyfriend, yes, and they're forced to engage in sexual activity and they don't even know what HPV is. Right. And so then they say, well, why go get a pap smear? I'll just go get tested. Right. So at least they have to know what it is. And so that's a huge importance of it.
And they're so busy worried about other diseases that they can lose sight of something that can normally affect them, mm-hmm.
from
a whole totally different aspect,
Yes.
It really needs to be educated and talked about. The church doesn't talk about these type of things. Now, you know me. You know us at Dunamis Women Ministries, and you know us at Change of Life or whatever. We have a tendency to educate and talk about things that most people don't want to talk about, mm-hmm. such as, sex and the pain of rejection and how we give our bodies away and mm-hmm. we do this. We deal with the real deal of mm-hmm. life, So dealing with the real deal of life, the pain of rejection can be so severe that it causes us to get into some sexual intercourses mm-hmm. with men, and just to cover up our pain. Mm-hmm. Yet our bodies are still experiencing so many things. The church needs to talk about this, Ariel. They need to be educated. They need to find out how their young women can mm-hmm. be empowered. They're afraid of it mm-hmm. because, like you say, it seems like I'm promoting it. Mm-hmm. What are some of the fears that we need to get over as adults, as leaders?
The huge fear, I think that, and it's not really maybe a fear, but we can't control what anyone is going to do. Correct. We cannot control at what age that a girl is going to lose her virginity. And not even the fact of a girl making a decision to lose her virginity. We can't even control human trafficking. We can't control women that are in brothels. Correct. Over people who are kidnapped within this state, within Chicago, within overseas. We can't control any of that. Correct. And so the huge thing that we have to do is enlighten our youth. Because they have to be proactive and know when they're going places. Yes. That if something were to happen to them, I often wonder when girls who are kidnapped for years and when maybe their family has had the opportunity to find them, do they take them to go receive a pap smear? Correct. Or do they say, I'm so glad you're healthy, I'm so glad you're back at home, and then they move on with life? That's mm-hmm. the first thing that I think of. Mm-hmm. And so within the church, we talk about the alarms of, the kidnapping that's going on and
how we want to stop the
violence. How you want to stop the violence, but you also have to be proactive in that. Yes, and so realistically, we were made to produce. Correct. People are going to get engaged in sexual activity at one point in their lifetime. Yes. And so they have to have all the knowledge. And so the fear is, don't fear what's natural. Right. Because sex is natural. Yes. Human papillomavirus is out there, and it's not something that needs to be hidden because it's there. Yes. So the thing is you're not don't be scared of it. You have to take control of it.
And what I'm hearing you saying is don't be so spiritually minded that you're no earthly good. We have to deal with those things. And those are things that we don't want to really deal with. And that's what we have to empower. I tell people, because I cultivate leaders, and that's who God has called me to, who have missions, who have visions, who have purpose, who have callings on their life. I always challenge them. If you start a church today, I promise you, you're going to have more single mothers and you're going to have more children than you do families. And that's sad. One woman can come in there with 5 kids. They did not come because they're married. It was only one married. So they're having sexual intercourse. The main thing that's destroying the church is the sexual intercourse. The stuff that's not talked about. But in this case, it still affects our body. The rate of funerals, in the church, unpaid for because people don't know how to manage their money, pay for insurance, think of futuristic. And so we always living for today, and we don't think of what things can affect us down the line. We're here because of our future generations. And I believe, that's our mantra scripture, now unto him who will do exceedingly and abundantly above all that you can ever ask or think. Not for us, according to the power that worketh in us, and that's that dunamis, but for future generations. If we don't intervene right now, what's going to take place with our future generations?
I think my biggest fear is, honestly, if future generations don't understand the importance of empowering themselves as a woman and men. I'm not even dismissing men, because you have to respect women.
Correct.
And so even if young men were enlightened about the human papillomavirus, they could tell their girlfriend, did you go receive your pap smear? Not just did you go get tested, but did you go receive your pap smear?
Because you educated me. Isn't the strand in men as well?
It's definitely in men.
Okay.
They're the number one carriers because they don't receive a pap smear.
Oh,
and so they can have it. And if a girl doesn't go get a pap smear, they will never know. And so you have to, men, they're making decisions too. If you really want to be a man and engage in sexual intercourse, you have to empower that woman to go be the woman that she's supposed to be in life, period. And not just within taking care of her health as a woman, just be a woman.
Yes.
Make conscious decisions about your life. And so my huge fear is the fact that, men and women are not going to be they're not going to take those provisions. And so because they're engaging in sex at a certain point in time, years down the line, 10 years down the line, this HPV virus could have been sitting in their body for so long. And because they have been so scared and never received a pap smear, they will never know. And then when it takes time for them to get married or to have kids and they receive their first pap smear, they could end up finding that it has reach a high stage.
Well, we have come to the end, and on that note, I could have had another show, Ariel, because for the fact that we don't understand how things are first can be stemmed from our men, that we're as women trying to take ownership. However, we definitely thank you for being with us. I am Pastor D, the host of this show, and yes, I have been interviewing Miss Windy City 2013, Ariel Monique Fuller, who I am so honored and proud that God has blessed me to be her mother. Not only that, a pastor, a leader, and a person who I am interceding and standing in the gap. So I want you to just invite her. I admonish you because this is an educational tool that our young people need to learn about. It doesn't take away from the pastor, the youth pastor, the leader, the women's ministry, but to have someone who God is rising up and raising up in this day and hour to actually do great exploits. So Ariel, tell them how they can get in contact with you, because by the time you see the show, you will be Miss Illinois.
Yes, so you could always get in contact with me anywhere that you have a group of youth. I am there. We could be outside on the field. It does not matter for me. So,
right.
That's just a good way to get in contact with me.
You'll have them out there cheering. So give us a call at 1-855-BE-DUNAMIS. All the information is right there on your screen because there's no reason, no excuse that you cannot get in contact with us. Thank you for joining us. I'm Pastor D, and we definitely look forward to engaging with you. Have a blessed day.
Dunamis woman.